The goal of the game is to tell an epic story. You see this fire glowing in her eyes, and then it suddenly crystallizes into ice.
The point is just to come and have like a fun adventure.
You enter this world that the Dungeon Master has created.
It takes one attack at you, one attack at you. You create characters that aren't yourself.
You get to customize sort of all of these different aspects about their personality.
What it'll allow is you can either use your action this time to figure out this thing and then use it on your next turn, or you can just use a regular attack.
Just use the long row.
I have a lot of players who will come to play for the first time and they have this preconceived notion that's really nerdy. +4, so 12.
That stigma where we dress up.
If people actually saw who it was that was playing, I think they'd be really surprised.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Once you get people to actually play, that stigma just disappears.
Anyone who likes reading or stories in general can really get involved in this.
He is enraged with you as he tries scooping up pieces of dirt and mud on the ground.
I'd say that there's a rise in popularity for games like D&D.
Wizards of the Coast, the company that funds it, is putting a lot more money into it now. Ice Storm is being cast.
A lot of people, especially more nerdy inclined people in recent years, have taken to the internet. D&D is a really great way for these type of people to reclaim meeting in the real world.
You're a machine that gives us auto crits and gives them disadvantage.
Video games and not being in the same space as another person isn't working for people anymore. Even though it's more clunky and cumbersome than a video game, people seem not to mind and seem to want to do it. She cast it right here to get all three of you guys.
I hadn't considered how much fun or how immersive the experience could be.
And he comes right back at you, preparing to punch you twice in the ribs. Generally, I think people experience something meaningful at the table, and that's why they come back.
It's very different than reading a book or writing a book for that matter, because it's a collaborative storytelling experience.
The way my character is, the places that we go during games, the kind of interactions you can have with other people's characters. I mean, you can't really recreate that anywhere else.
Yeah, Steve did not do well there.
We spend a lot of our time separate during the day, and this is one place where we come to relax.
Everyone's there for a common cause, so you're kind of just guaranteed to have a good time with them.
You know that your hero's here when Steve shows up. Generally, I think people experience something meaningful at the table, and that's why they come back.
D&D has always been a community-based game, and you can't play it without a good group of friends.
I think people love it because they get to be a kid again.
There's something a little bit like nostalgic, using your imagination the way that you do in these kind of games.
3, 2, 1,
Today is Pi Day.
It's Pi Day at the University of Waterloo.
Today is Pi Day.
Today is Pi Day, 314, because pi is 3.14, 159, etc., etc.
We cut and give away pie for free.
So we have a long table with thousands of pieces of pie on it.
We ordered and have cut 173 pies. We cut them into 8 slices, meaning that we served 1,384 slices of pie today. We have blueberry, Dutch apple, apple crumble, raspberry, pumpkin. I did say rhubarb, did I? Anyway, I think that about covers it.
Peach. Peach is my favorite.
Blueberry.
Lemon meringue, which isn't here right now, but that's okay.
I like pecan pie. That'll be my favorite.
Everybody has a smile on their face.
Well, I guess we just eat pie.
And
That's the main
recite pie
thing.
numbers.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be having a digits of pi recitation a contest.
311415926535897.
510582097494459.
Students take pride in reciting hundreds of digits of the number pi.
28292.
The student who recites the largest number of digits of pi gets a check for $314.15.
4609555058.
As the bowls quietly roll at the Preston Lawn Bowling Club, the roll call is jacked with gratitude.
I had a heart transplant February the 10th, 2011 at University Hospital in London.
I received the gift of a heart about 5.5 years ago.
I was lucky and blessed to have had a kidney pancreas 14 years ago.
It's a pretty close fraternity of transplant recipients.
They've gathered
when you meet a group of people who've been through the same stuff.
Every Wednesday.
That'll work.
Nice. Since the summer of 2012.
Preston Lawn Bowling Club welcomed us and away we went.
At a time when each of them needed each other.
We've been at the bottom of the pit emotionally, right to the very top.
No, tuck her in, tuck it in.
That's okay, that's good, that's good.
In a good way, you kind of come to realize that you're not all that special, and it makes it a little easier to cope.
Next week, 7 of them will cope as Team Ontario at the Canadian Transplant Games in Toronto.
We want to represent Ontario as well as we can in the Games.
Contested every 2 years, the Games were last held in Moncton in 2014.
Do I need the heat, Jen? Yes, okay.
Jennifer Irwin is on the organizing committee.
The week is just to put on a great event and hope everybody has just as much fun as we always do every time.
Lawrence and Sullivan won gold in lawn bowling in Calgary in 2012.
Have some friendly competition and to enjoy the day. That's what it's all about. And if you get a medal, that's just a bonus.
We are so blessed to be able to come out at our second chance of life. It's all for our donors and representing them.
200 transplant recipients will compete next week in 11 different events.
We've become very close, and we kind of get each other. We consider ourselves a transplant family.
We know how people are not even having a great day. We understand. If they can't come out and bowl that evening, we understand.
Because they never take for granted.
I had a heart transplant 4 years ago.
The life-changing bond they share.
I had a kidney pancreas.
And never forget
I had a heart transplant in the fall of 2013.
why they're here.
I go out and speak to groups about organ tissue donation, and that was my gift back to my donor and donor family.
It's a great way to celebrate life and to honor your donor.
Donors rule!
A wall of flames tears this dairy barn apart. Inside are 45 cows. And outside, 50 firefighters try to get it under control.
It went up very quickly.
The power went out for about 30 seconds, and as I stood up, I saw through our front door a big orange blaze.
Jennifer Wright was home with her family. When she saw the flames, she called 911.
It was a big fireball. There was a couple, probably 2 times where we saw other explosions.
It was something. I've never seen anything like that in my lifetime.
Fire crews say the owners spotted the flames, but could do nothing to stop it. Of the 45 cows, only 1 survived.
Their animals are like their family. They're with them every day and taking care of them, so they're quite upset at the loss.
Chief Kevin Carley says the cattle lost were the breeding stock and calves.
On the upside, we were able to save the barns that house the milking parlor and the main stock right now that they're using for milking.
In order to fight the fire, crews had to truck in water from 2 different locations, the furthest being an 18-minute round trip.
By morning, the roof is gone, the tractor has melted, and piles are still burning.
That was one of the old style barn with beams and barn boards, so they're not airtight.
Carley says that means a small fire can turn devastating very quickly. Allison Tanner, CTV News, Maryhill.
In front of a packed Windsor crowd, the 103rd Queen's Cup would feature the McGill Redmen and the Windsor Lancers. McGill has won 22 Queen's Cups, most recently in 2012. The Windsor Lancers have only won it once, in 1998. Not many predicted Windsor to be in this spot, as they knocked off a #1 Western squad in the semifinals. However, Windsor was determined to prove all the doubters wrong, and they did it early. Only a few seconds in, Evan Stibbard receives a long breakaway pass. He skates into the zone and risks a shot over Gervais Chenard's glove hand, putting Windsor up 1-0, 17 seconds in. McGill didn't lose their energy. Mathieu Pompey rocks Posa into the glass before David Rose gets a chance on net. Windsor goaltender Parker Van Buskirk keeps it out though. Windsor was keeping up the physicality as well, as Kenny Bradford lays out Samuel Carrier. And Van Buskirk was keeping Windsor ahead, making a big glove save late in the first. In the second period now, McGill is bringing the pressure. Patrick Delalude gets a feed and sends it on net. It comes out to the point where Bernard pulls the trigger and Van Buskirk somehow keeps it out. Windsor brings some pressure of their own, as Mac McDonnell makes a nifty move and drives to the net. Spencer Pommels gets the rebound but can't capitalize. It remains 1-0 Lancers. Inside the 8-minute mark, Bradford fires on net from a tight angle only to get his own rebound. McDonnell puts in the trickling puck. Only a few minutes later, Bradford is pressuring again as he fires a shot from the slot, then nets his own rebound to put Windsor up 3-0. The crowd was going wild. McGill was still pushing in the third period though. Here, Benoit Levesque lets a high shot from the slot go, but Van Buskirk keeps it out. And then halfway through the third, Van Buskirk is somehow able to cover up this chance, keeping his shutout intact. But then, with a little more than 5 minutes left, McGill would finally solve Buskirk. Bernard would score a shorthanded goal late and give the Redmen some life. Not long after, McGill on the power play now, McNichol gives Rose a beautiful feed, who puts it home, cutting the gap to only 1. With a minute left, McGill would pressure for the equalizer. Marc-Oliver Vincent would fire a puck to the side of the net. A scramble ensues, but Van Buskirk is able to keep it out. The comeback by McGill would prove to be too little too late as the time ticks down and the Windsor Lancers win the Queen's Cup in only the second time in school history and the first time in 16 seasons.
This game really exemplifies how this team has played probably from Christmas time on. We played a game at Comerica Park and Western beat us pretty bad, and we kind of went on a tailspin after that, and we had a great meeting, regrouped, and everybody remembered why we were all here, to have fun first and foremost, and we had a lot of people that believed in us, and most importantly, the guys in the dressing room believed in each other, and that's pretty special.
I mean, we did it. I don't know what else to say. It's just such a crazy feeling. It's been a whirlwind of a month, just through the playoffs and grinding it out, going down 1-0 to Western, and this team's never quit, just never stopped working, and I mean, we're here now.
For Ontario University Athletics, I'm Matt Ethier.
We started things off Friday under the Friday Night Lights, and it was a real impressive outing from Guelph, and they were facing a team in the York Lions who they came roaring in, Matt.
They sure did, and a little bit foggy on the Friday night, but everyone pushed through those vision problems, and York came in running the ball well, as we had predicted that they might, but Guelph really was the only team to score in the first half and generate points. Jazz Lindsay threw a touchdown pass to Brother Saxon in the first quarter, and then Nangle snuck one in late in the second. Guelph led at the half 18-0, but York had put up 128 rushing yards, which made you think maybe York could come out in the second half and put up a few points. So early in the fourth, York running back Errol Brooks scored an 18-yard run, but that was it for York, Jay. Farquharson put the game out of reach with 2 rushing touchdowns, and Guelph won their final home game of the regular season 33-7. Just a great performance by the Guelph Griffins, Farquharson, their offense, their defense, and a fun game to be at, Jason.
It really was a fun game to be at. A great way for Guelph to end their season at home, so they're undefeated at home. Still 2 more games to go to have that perfect season, which is what they really want.
It was the Guelph Griffins homecoming on Saturday afternoon, and the stands were filled. The 2-1 Griffins were taking on Billy McPhee's 0-3 Queens Gales. And over the years, this has become quite the rivalry, as Griffins are 3-3 versus the Gales in their last 6 meetings. The Guelph football Griffins gave the homecoming crowd something to cheer about early in the game. Ryan Newisty provided a huge punt return that led to a long 40-yard field goal to put the Griffs on the board. But Billy McPhee was making things happen through the air. He gets the Gales into scoring range with a big pass to Curtis Carmichael. After the drive dies, Dylan Wamsley lines up for a field goal, but the snap is fumbled. and Guelph gets the ball on a turnover on downs. Then, on 2nd and long, Jazz Lindsay hands the ball off to Rob Farquharson, who breaks a couple of tackles and ends up gaining 11 yards to get the first down. Next play, Lindsay drops back and launches one to James Ingram, who is open downfield, another first down. Farquharson gets the call again, finds a hole and breaks up field, but just can't break the tackle. Then, off play action, Lindsay throws a precise pass to Audrey Frazier to make it 1st and goal. Very next play, Lindsay play action, then rolls out. He can't find any open receivers. He decides to call his own number and runs into the end zone. And then he celebrates in style. 10-0 Griffins. But Queens was trying to get something going. It's 3rd down, and they fake the punt and get the first down. Only a few plays later, the Gales are going for it on 3rd down again. Bailey drops back, finds Peter Hannon open, but he drops the pass. Griffin's ball. Lindsay would take full advantage as he goes 3 for 4 on the next drive, including this 28-yard connection with Charette, who runs it down to the 16-yard line. Lindsay would finish the drive off with a sneak into the end zone. 17-0 Griffins at the end of the first quarter. In the second quarter, Farquharson gets the ball on a counterplay, breaks upfield, and drags defenders on his way to a huge 20-yard run to get the ball into Queens territory. He then gets the call again. Someone give this man a CFL contract. He's got the Griffs in scoring position. Lindsay would cap off the drive with a 27-yard touchdown pass to Lucas Spagnuolo. Make it 24-0 Guelph. Then, with less than a minute and a half, Farquharson gets the ball on a dive up the middle, and he falls into the end zone. It was 32-0 at the half, and Queens had lots to think about. But it was Guelph who came out in the second half. Lindsay fakes the handoff, drops back, and launches the ball 40 yards to Frazier for another touchdown. On Queens' next possession, Billy McPhee can't find an open receiver, so he scrambles, but can't escape Daniel Horta. He'd be sacked 10 times throughout the day. And the Griffins didn't let up. They run an option play near the end zone, and John Augustine tumbles his way into the end zone. 46-0 after 3 quarters of play. Just nothing was going Queens' way. Colin Mandish forces a fumble, and Justin Gleben recovers it for the Griffins. Lindsay capitalizes with a 23-yard touchdown pass to Charette. That would be Charette's 5th touchdown reception, which ties him with the most touchdown receptions in the CIS. And Augustine would finish the game off with one final touchdown run. The Guelph Griffins rout the Queens Gales 66-0. Queens drops to 0-4, making it very difficult to make the playoffs, whereas Guelph heads into their bye week sitting at 3-1 and 4th place in the OUA standings. Here's head coach Stu Lang with his thoughts on the game.
As the players know, people like beating the Purple Ponies down the road, but being an alumni, I like beating Queens more. So the guys did me a big favor today. Jazz probably played his best game as a Griffin. Ran well, threw well. So that's exciting. When you got a quarterback, you know you can go a long way.
It was a great game, obviously, coming out with a big win, but Queens is a good team. But, we had a really good week of practice, offensively and defensively. We watched a lot of film. We had an idea of what they were going to bring to us, and we capitalized on that, so it was good.
For the Guelph Griffins, I'm Matt Ethier.